Today's episode dives into the world of astonishing pets guaranteed to send shivers down your spine. Believe that rats and spiders are the most unnerving creatures your neighbors might house. You're in for a revelation. Imagine a 2-meter alligator, colossal cockroaches, a uniquely muscular dog, and even a ferocious hyena. The individuals featured in this episode have remarkably domesticated these wild beings. Number 1. Lynxes. Lynxes. Not everyone likes dogs or wolves. A large part of the planet prefers cats, but even in this case, as it turns out, there are lots of options. For example, an 11-year-old girl from Russia named Sofia got herself a lynx named Zen as a pet. In the wild, lynxes are dangerous predators. Birds, rabbits, and fish make up the bulk of their diet. So, is it safe to keep a 35-kilogram or 77-pound wild cat, which is used to hunting, right in the apartment? Zen's life began in a traveling circus. Here, it was shown to audiences in wild predator shows. In 2008, the lynx was rescued from the dubious conditions of the traveling circus, and it turned out that in Russia, keeping a lynx as a pet is not something illegal. Of course, little Sophia's parents had their doubts for a long time, but since they were planning to move to a country house, the conditions for keeping a lynx there would be quite appropriate. Sophia herself was engaged in feeding and raising Zen. Several other house cats already lived in the house, so the girl was experienced. Over the years of living together, the lynx became so accustomed to Sophia that it began to sleep on Sophia's bed and even let her dress itself up in costumes on holidays. Of course, many would say that keeping a lynx in captivity is cruel to the animal, but Sophia and her family are sure that Zen is happy with them. Number 2. Wolves. Are you familiar with the statement that a dog is a man's best friend? I think you are, but some people prefer to tame dogs' direct ancestors who love to howl at the moon. One such wolf lover was an 80-year-old German named Werner Freund for more than 40 years. He'd been living in the wolf pack until he passed away in 2014. He first developed an affinity for these animals back in the 1950s when he worked part-time as a day laborer at a zoo. In 1972, the man bought 10 hectares, about 24.7 acres of land, and opened his own wolf farm, where he himself raised more than 70 wild wolves. In order to win the trust and respect of the 6 different wolf packs that lived on his property, Werner had to manage everywhere. He had to participate in the affairs of the pack. For example, he had to eat his prey together with the wolves, and Werner always had to start the meal first as the alpha male. Freund's life itself refutes the stereotype that wolves are very vicious and aggressive animals, but the German resident was not the only one who's decided to settle near wolves. American Kelly Lund does not share his fear of predators either. He and his pet wolf named Loki have become a real sensation on the internet. Scientifically speaking, Loki is a crossbreed between a wolf and a dog, but in most countries, even such hybrids require special documents for approval. Soon after the owner managed to take Loki from the shelter, it got its own Instagram, and judging by it, Loki and Lund are doing great. Number 3. Pit Bull. It's one of the most aggressive and powerful dog breeds in the world. In some countries, pit bulls have even been banned from breeding for safety reasons. Yes, pit bulls are not the biggest dogs in the world, but it's not their size that's to be feared. The most valuable quantities of pit bulls are perseverance, will to live, and fearlessness. In other words, if this dog grabs the person it doesn't like, it's unlikely to change its mind and let him go in order to prevent unreasonable aggression towards people. Pit bulls are trained from an early age. Number 4. Rambo. The last thing you expect to see in your neighbor's backyard is an alligator, right? And what about an alligator on a motorcycle? Okay, after all, we're talking about the American state of Florida, where people love doing freaky things. Meet Rambo, an alligator that's almost 2 meters or 6.5 feet long and weighs 55 kilograms, 121 pounds. Its owner, Mary Thorne, considers the gator as the best pet in the world. It can be said they met accidentally. One day, Mary found a strange box on the porch of a wrestling club she owned. Inside the box were 5 tiny baby alligators. Mary took the babies to her house and tried to raise them, but despite her best efforts, only Rambo survived. Gradually, the neighborhood got used to Rambo and even started to invite the exotic animal to holidays and parties. As for Mary and Rambo, now the couple lives in peace and harmony. They eat at the same table, watch TV together, and go for walks. Despite the fact that Mary had all the necessary permits, in 2016 Rambo was almost taken away from her. The problem was that the alligator's length exceeded the norm, but Mary wasn't confused and managed to get her exotic pet back. She believes that there's nothing wrong with pet alligators if you treat them carefully. Number 5. Big Wendy. Are you afraid of hound dogs? No. Well, you should be, because you wouldn't want to meet a dog like this in a dark alley. This dog's name is Big Wendy, and its appearance is very far from typical, long and thin hound dogs. Its owner, Ingrid Hansen, has repeatedly been accused of injecting her dog with steroids. In fact, Wendy was born with a genetic disorder that made it look like a huge ball of muscle. While its head, heart, lungs, and legs were the same size as a normal whippet has, a mutation in its genes resulted in what can be called double muscle mass. Wendy weighed almost 28 kilograms, 62 pounds, which is twice as much as a usual whippet, and unlike usual whippets, who are known for their flexible and thin bones, Big Wendy had 24 abs instead. Dog breeders and veterinarians predicted a short life for Wendy because of its mutation, but despite its peculiarity, the dog had no particular health problems and died at the age of 14. So its life expectancy turned out to be the same as that of a usual weapon. Number 6. Giant cockroach. Meet the Madagascar hissing cockroach. These monsters grow up to 6 centimeters to 3 inches in length, and if you don't control their reproduction, they'll multiply at a breakneck speed. Moreover, you should think about where to settle new generations of the roaches, because this species lives from 2 to 3 years. In recent years, Madagascar hissing cockroaches have become to gain popularity rapidly. Today, it's no longer a problem to buy them in a regular pet store. A popular blogger named Exotic bought a couple of these little monsters and is quite happy with them. According to the girl, she doubted the success of the venture before buying, but later she really liked roaches. They like to communicate with people, they eat mostly fruits and vegetables, and they bathe so often that they can compete with many of us in terms of love for cleanliness. Number 7. Grizzly bear. The story of the friendship between a man and a bear is the basis of many fairy tales and novels. But is it really possible? Naturalist Casey Anderson is a living example that such friendship is real. The man lives side by side with a huge grizzly bear named Brutus. When Casey and Brutus appeared on television in 2009 on The Oprah Winfrey Show, they immediately won the hearts of viewers. The story of their friendship is very beautiful and touching. On one of Casey's expeditions, his group came across a young Brutus. It turned out that its mother had been shot by poachers. Casey felt that the baby would not survive without a mother. So he decided to take it to his house to raise it as his own child. Casey was initially afraid of the grizzly bear, so he kept it in an iron cage. But Casey soon realized that Brutus was growing up to be kind and harmless. So we started giving it more and more freedom now. They eat at the same table, swim in the pool together, and take regular walks, and in 2008 Brutus even became the best man at Casey's wedding. The naturalist considers Brutus of the kindest and most loyal animals in the world. Their friendship is a vivid example that not all grizzlies are vicious and bloodthirsty animals. Number 8. Mutated snake. An unusual, two-headed 10-month-old snake, about 30 centimeters or 12 inches long, which turned out to be a gray rat snake, was spotted by Tawny Janets on the lawn of her fellow's house. She named one head Gumbo and the other File. Tanny said that there are two snakes in one body, which often wrestle with each other in an attempt to crawl in different directions. According to the woman who tamed the double snake, in the wild, Gumbo and File would have died because the mutant crawls very slowly. In addition to the unusual pet, the woman has other animals picked up on the street. Tani has 7 unusual snakes, a frog, 2 cockroaches, a tarantula, a central bearded dragon, grasshoppers, a hedgehog, several birds, dogs, and a cat. In addition, the woman has 3 children. All of them are happy to help their mother take care of their large petting zoo. Number 9. Hyena. In 2014, a touching video was uploaded on the internet showing the owner and hyena reuniting after a long separation. It looks very cute, but it's just one moment in a long story. Brian Hahn bought the hyena while it was still tiny and young and named it Jake. To get around the law, he lied that they lived in Alabama while he himself spent 11 creepy months trying to get along with Jake in his one-room apartment in Miami. After a year of unsuccessful training, Brian gave up. He even tried to fight Jake to reassert his leadership of their pack, but it was all in vain. The 45-kilo or 99-pound hyena continued to destroy everything around him, day after day, jumping on walls and gnawing on furniture. The neighbors complained about Brian to all the known authorities, and as a result, Jake had to be transferred to a sanctuary, where it now lives in suitable conditions. Brian constantly visits Jake, and now each new meeting is a touching story for a cartoon about animals. That concludes today's content, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and remember to enable notifications for future uploads. Explore more of our content, and we'll catch you with the next one. See you later.